Hey there and welcome. Gosh, about 2 minutes behind today. Sorry about that. Had a little dental surgery yesterday. Had a little bit more to get ready for this morning. Very interesting one for you today and welcome. This is the Ask Self Recruiter video advice blog. Come here to get your questions answered. There's a whole library over on my Self Recruiter YouTube channel. Check it out. It'll really help you. Today we have a lot of questions I gathered together all on different aspects of career branding, and we're going to talk about that. You should understand where the advice comes from anybody that you're listening to. So 3 different disciplines as a recruiter on a desk, that's having to reach into the competitor company, find the superstar, lure them out. Very similar to being a glorified dating guru. Also 3.5 years as the national trainer across a 100 office recruiting system and VP over that whole system before moving out to do what I do on my own now with helping individuals elevate their career brand, helping them reinvent in a truthful way, reinvent their story from a different angle across their resume, LinkedIn, even their outreach materials. So we're going to bring all that together for you today. And we're going to focus that in on, it's going to populate any second now. Here it comes. Or maybe I have to hit the button. One of the two. 10 questions on career branding. Sorry, they went by a little bit fast. First question, what is career branding? Really, it's a compound question. What is career branding and why is it important? We used to be in a world where we didn't really see that career branding was important because it wasn't so visible to all. But throughout the last number of decades, there have been a number of people very focused on their individual career branding. You just didn't get to see their presentation or their resume or those things that they kept really, in the private eye. Now that everything has really become public and public domain with something like LinkedIn, this is now where if you don't exist in the virtual world, my gosh, you don't really exist. So career branding is how you begin to take control of that perception of who you are as a professional. It can involve a great many things, even how you speak about yourself or present yourself, how you may write your accomplishments on LinkedIn, how you might write those on a resume itself, how you might put that story together. We're going to talk more about story, but you have to inspire them. They have to really visualize your career path and the things that make you very unique. And there's a lot that you can do in presentation that really ups that game. Now, with LinkedIn itself and why it's important, it's a game changer. It's how you essentially level the playing field because LinkedIn's a complex content management system. I don't want you to turn it into something like Facebook, but you can make your professional profile almost like a portfolio of your career where they can look over your shoulder, seeing what you're reading, doing, sharing, attending, and also get maybe even some nice visuals from throughout your career, a little bit of type overlaid over top. Not that difficult. You take it into PowerPoint, you take it into Keynote, take a picture, put a little type on top with story. What's the brand? What's going on at this conference? Crop it a nice way, and suddenly people can see you in your career. Your competitor, not so good at storytelling. That's the importance of career branding. You can get noticed, and it's not just up to the person that is a good talker. Next question. Whose brand do you like? I'm guessing this one was really for me, but these are a collection of questions together that I've pulled together. I can tell you one thing, whose brand I like, and then you have to ask yourself about yourself. I look around at a lot of what I might consider competitors. Now, for a normal competitor, I don't really look at the direct competitor, a little bit, but not really. That in my mind, that's not my real competitor, or I've got a problem. My real competitor is 1 or 2 rungs up on a different playing field. So I look at that person going, well, aspirationally, whose brand do I like? And it's very easy once you look up who's getting attention. Sometimes they get attention because they're the right person, right place, right time, and it just happens. And okay, magic happened for you. But you know what? The rest of us are going to have to curate our brand in a little better way. And as you do this analysis, you will see some brands you like, and you need to think about how they made you feel, whatever it was they made you feel about them. What was their storytelling technique, and how did they present themselves? So I think not only do we have to look at brands that we emotionally respond to, regardless of what the actual content itself is, what causes a positive reaction, a bonding, and you have to think about uh, among your peers, among your competitors, among your aspirational competitors, especially, because don't get stuck only trying to be just as good as who's next to you. Let's aim a little bit higher. Um, that's kind of the purpose of career branding too, is open up a new pathway that we maybe didn't feel like was there. So looking at brands that you admire, you like, something's compelling. I can also tell you a story that will inspire you from looking at other brands, and that is that even when I started to do what I do now and going out to talk with people and working with clients, aspirationally, I looked at, Stephen Covey and Tony Robbins, and I mean, might as well learn from the masters, right? And in those years, which was a few years back, I was shocked. I was flabbergasted. Tony Robbins, especially, uh, access to what some say is more money than God, and you could hire any expert you'd like. You're an expert yourself, but you could hire a branding expert, and this is how you present it yourself as one of the people at the top of their game. And I looked at it and did not feel intimidated. I felt encouraged about what I could put together. So sometimes it's not about breaking down others, but it is looking for the fact that others who are maybe successful, more successful, or at that level that we desire to, they have gaps in what they can see as well, and yet they still got there. So let's align as many dominoes as possible. Let's look at brands that might be really good for us, and let's learn a little bit along the way as you adjust your brand. Who is your competitor? Well, we're still really talking about that. Your competitor is really important. So competitors, just don't get stuck on that same level. Our career should be on a trajectory going someplace. Maybe you don't want to be the master of the universe, but maybe you do want to be the most expected individual contributor within your field. That's still a really great trajectory. We all don't have to go manage individuals if that's not our thing. But in terms of what I usually advise people in looking at the competitors is, first off, on your peers, look at only the people really that are at the absolute top of their game, or at least perceived that way. What can you learn from them? Where do you see a weakness or opportunity for them to grow? Because that's teaching yourself as well. And where do you see that they've maybe outmaneuvered you with the same background, and something for you to learn there? Then look aspirationally, one or two levels up. Like, if you could wave the magic wand, what do I see up there and what can I learn? And it may open up a door really quickly for you. As I went back and was looking at those individuals quite a few years ago, it's like, well, what do they have that I don't have besides all sorts of revenue? Oh, they have a book. Oh, okay, well, I am an expert. I have things to share, which would be really valuable. I can easily write a book, and I can write compelling, prose that's interesting, which is also required. Can't be dull. Can't be dull. Has to be real, valuable, and of interest. And then, they have media quotes. I'm not in the media, or I wasn't then. I am certainly now. Working backward like a detective, a little bit of a Sherlock Holmes, it's not too difficult to aspirationally realize what they have, what you're missing, and let's go get each piece by piece, until suddenly I'm giving talks for the New York Public Library, New York State Department of Labor, Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, Harvard Business School Club of New York City, CUNY, many, many others. So you can learn a lot from that competitor, just like we talked last time. Now, here's a compound question again. I like these. What is the story of you, and what's unique about you? These are similar. Let's get a little drink here. Dental surgery. Well, first off, the story of you could have something really close to do with your professional work life, could have nothing to do with your professional work life. You have to think about what's the interesting piece. Now, if I were to go to extremes on interesting pieces, I'd back up a few fall seasons ago, and I was working with an individual who was reinventing their whole background. And at some point, they had become this wonderful marketing individual, all this nice career progression, all this nice marketing, what's expected story, but a nice trajectory. But before all of that, at some point, they had become a certified locomotive engineer, like choo-choo. And I put it right below the degree, 7-point bold, certified locomotive engineer. And at first, yes, they're like, oh, turd on my resume. You put a turd on my resume. You know how many interviews this person got because of that turd? We're forgetting, we're so emotionally attached. We're forgetting the uniqueness, the story of us. And that is that this person had a very fine background, but you know what? I have a table full of people with a very fine background, done it for very fine brands. I'm trying for you to tell me something that will draw me in. And I see something like, well, look at that. How is that? I have to hear that story. I have to hear that story. Put her on the list. Oh, nice background, nice background. They all have a nice background. Don't forget what's unique, interesting, different. I think 4 Octobers ago, end of the month, I was wrapping up another client's resume LinkedIn upgrade, recasting their branding, everything. And suddenly they go to me, oh, I'm about to be a 4th-time marathon runner next week. I'm like, well, what? You're about to be a 4-time marathon runner? This is the first time John is hearing about it? Well, that doesn't have anything to do with my work. I'm like, it doesn't? You seem like you're getting a little mature to me. I mean, what does a 4-time marathon runner communicate? Drive, ambition, goal, unstoppable. Well, probably really good on my health care plan. They talk about it all. I've heard it all. So don't forget to sell those aspects, like 4-time marathon runner, right on the resume, little tiny footprint, just a little cherry on top of the story. So that really guides us over to the career branding and what to do on LinkedIn is, yes, this is your professional shingle for the world, but you're a 3-dimensional real human being. You can tell a little bit of my non-work life, a little bit of my passion, a little bit of my giving back to society, in addition to what you've put together for your career story. So people bond to you for different reasons, and there's only 2 reasons, just 2 of them, that you're going to get hired, assuming you're capable and qualified for the roles you're going after. Don't hire people because they're capable and qualified. Don't mishear that. Would not hire anybody I did not believe to be capable and qualified. That is not a decision factor. I wouldn't even have this conversation with you if I didn't think that. Number 1 reason I want to hire you is chemistry above all other things. That's the hardest piece for any team, any group, any organization. The chemistry piece, the right person with the right chemistry. Number 2 is confidence in you. And that's before credentialing, background, which you've actually done for others. Before all of that, chemistry and confidence. And oftentimes that goes to what's unique about us. Oh, the marathon runner, they're this, they're that, or they contribute back to the Habitat for Humanity thing they worked on in 2004. By the way, good works don't expire. Drop those dates. If I did something for Habitat for Humanity, it would be, believe me, on my background, wonderful organization as well. So let's go back. Let's clear away the emotional baggage, attachment, negativity you have with these unique things, and realize sometimes that those are the most stunning things. You could be 3 decades into your career, and the real stunning thing, in addition to your wonderful track record, the real stunning thing could be at the beginning of your career. You landed an amazing internship where you picked up special people at the airport that needed a lot of handling, and it factors right into why you would rise to be a chief communication officer at large brands, if that was the background. So you want to think about the unique thing to you and something you might have tossed away in the background as you rebuild your brand. Now, what would you like them to think about you? I mean, I mostly would like them to think of me as their employee already. So I hope you do the basic things, like if you've got a few very specific target organizations and you go and learn about how they speak about themselves, look at their website, begin to gather phrases, begin to make little cheat sheet folders. How does this company A talk about themselves, company B? And you realize you might have certain language you want to absorb, so they naturally begin to hear their employee as they look at your background. But mostly I'd like them to see me as accomplished, as a leader, someone that can deliver something special, maybe deliver something they haven't thought of. That's a little bit of magic in storytelling. Of course, they have to see me as the future of their company. If they don't see me as the future of their company, they're not going to be inspired. I have to inspire them so that they push all those other people away and go, oh no, this one, I have to get them in here, get them on the phone. Next question. What problems can you solve? Well, it's a compound question. I love these. What problems can you solve, and what are you great at? This gets to the uniqueness, but it's not really about the uniqueness. This is more time toward your core skill set that you might bring to the table. I don't necessarily mean A, B, C skills, but but you want to intellectually look at what makes you different, what makes you unique, what things can you solve that maybe somebody else cannot solve, or typically that's a difficult one, but it's so easy for me type thing. Those also get to the things that we're really great at. Now, you have to be careful because you don't want to fall in a trap of seeming like a school child trying to get their credit and their little, give me my gold star. Like, that's not really what we're after, but a confidence of being able to convey, I can solve problems that others can't. I can see a career background and a story that others just can't because they're blocked emotionally. That's part of what I do. So you have to think about why you are different than others. Another thing is that I bring an incredible pre-press background before any of my career or recruiting background. So my gosh, I do understand line and type and spacing and communications and how all that affects both in physical things like a resume and the digital world like a LinkedIn. Yeah, there's some unique examples about me. Also why my clients hire me to upgrade their career branding, because I am very unique as well. Think about why you are unique and why these things can work for you. How do you make a difference in the world, in life, on the big chalkboard in the sky? You doing enough to help others? You doing enough to help community? Now, mostly in this country, we often, or previously often, suffered from modesty and humility. Now it seems to be an infestation of a lack of modesty and humility. But joking aside, modesty and humility, they're wonderful, wonderful traits, but not in job search and certainly not in career or career branding. So this is not about claiming what you do not own, you have not earned, but it is about getting every ounce of credit that you deserve. You can't let the competitor talk a better game, take the job, and then they can't actually deliver the job that you should have had in the first place. So part of that vote on you is knowing that you are selected by others. Maybe you got recruited into roles, everything else, but also what do you do in your free time? I know most of us don't really have much free time these days, especially the way things are in life now, but how do you somehow carve out time to give back? So I want to see this great stellar career with all this wonderful background, all this contribution, and then somehow a little footnote, maybe community involvement. It's a banner I like to use, community involvement on the resume. LinkedIn, there's different ways to do it over there, but I'd put it under the organizations module on LinkedIn, not the volunteer module, because we're so dismissive. Oh, it's volunteer work, not real. Organizations are how we align ourselves, how we give back. Organizations. So I line up all these things, and then a little footnote if it's a resume or a little more on the LinkedIn side about what I'm involved in, what I care about, what I'm passionate about. Do you give money? Do you donate? Well, you're a supporter. You don't have to put that much detail. Do you go and actively get involved with their story? You can put the story in there. This is how you get a little extra credit in life for being good character, good person. And if it's down to just 2 or 3 people, and I don't see this person contributing to community, probably is, but I don't see it. Oh, I see this one's contributing to community. All things being equal, I'm going to choose that person. It's a character issue, which may say something about how they might do their work. So while you're not supposed to get this credit till later or after, you need this credit now. So if you're doing something to give back, and good works do not expire, so you can take off any time relevance, just put it in there. And when they ask you about it, tell them the story. Oh, I see you did something for Habitat for Humanity. That was so interesting. That was back in 2004. I was down here and I got involved in this, and I tell you, it was one of the most fulfilling things I've done. But it has to be real. So don't be shy. This is the time to walk these stories forward. Now, a couple answers as we wrap up for today, as we actually, with the combined ones, did get through 10 questions. Use tools to push your message, to develop your career branding. My resume renovation lecture will help you a lot in reinventing your resume. We're in a world where no one will read. Maybe they'll read the chatter, but that's about it. They're not going to read a document any longer, and that's a real problem. So to be clear, when I reinvent one of my clients' backgrounds, there's certainly not a sentence anywhere on the resume. Why would I have a sentence on a resume in a world where people don't read? Resume renovation lecture will help you there. Just check my YouTube channel, depending on where you're watching this. That's Self Recruiter YouTube channel. It'll come right up. LinkedIn, 3-dimensional sales brochure. If it's done right, it should be the polar opposite to the resume. Resume, in my view, every single background fits on a single sheet of paper, or you just don't know how to edit. Polar opposite to that single sheet of paper, that essence and value of your career on a single sheet, is to, how do I take that as the skeletal system to LinkedIn, but now I have to expand it into a 3-dimensional real sales brochure, something that kicks the competitor sideways. That's LinkedIn's job. Plus, that can be used as a social media marketing tool after that. So check out both my LinkedIn lecture and my career evolution lecture. That's the social media marketing lecture. It really help you there. Cover letter says everything about you. That's where you really wrap the story correctly. But that takes a few paragraphs, and they're not going to normally read. So maybe if your cover letter is so masterful, the first paragraph is probably what really is going to become the email, the basic pitch. Then you say, oh, my full cover letter's attached. So cover letter outreach, direct outreach, not a big believer in clicking that apply button. Well, it usually says submit, all capital letters, till we're so submissive. It's like a Friday night waiting for that phone to ring. Telemarketer. Direct outreach. LinkedIn allows you now to see the entire playing field if you allow yourself to think like Sherlock Holmes, a little bit of a detective, work backwards, rebuild the org chart. I teach that in the LinkedIn lecture. Just watch that. Direct outreach is a game changer. They're tired of people that aren't the right ones. If you know you're the right ones, you can't talk yourself into a job you're not right for. If you know you're the right one, reach out, have a 15 to 30 second discussion with the decision maker. They'll know exactly why you're right for it or not. So be careful in reaching out for jobs you're not right for. Goal here really for today's discussion and the answers is for you to begin to think about how you need to package yourself, even if that's a revolting idea. Like, oh, why should I have to package myself? Because we're a product. Whether we like it or not, we're a product just like every other product. You have to think about how you want to package yourself, how you want them to perceive your product, what you want them to think of you, what your competitors are doing. Take all that knowledge we discussed today and repackage yourself in a still very truthful, but much better way. You know, I grew up Catholic and I understand sin quite well. And there's no sin of omission here. I can leave out any part that I'd like to leave out. There's only sin of commission here. So every single thing that I put on my resume, on my LinkedIn, on that cover letter, every bit of it has to be letter true, but I don't have to disclose. It's not confessional. Leave out any part you'd like. Build your brand, package it, stage it, light it, everything else, set the atmosphere, and then socialize your brand. Use a social media marketing campaign. That's the career evolution lecture I teach. To 2 minutes a day, I can run a nice social media marketing campaign about me and my career and what's drawing my attention and what I'm reading, doing, sharing, attending, and why I have my finger on the pulse of the industry. This is today's Ask the Self-Recruiter. You know, if you're not getting your job search questions answered, whether that's resume, LinkedIn, you're interviewing, whatever it may be, send them in. Send them to ask@selfrecruiter.com. That's ask@selfrecruiter.com. We collect all the best ones together and present them here. It makes a nice library over on my Self-Recruiter YouTube channel. So check them out. They're also on my LinkedIn as well. Thank you guys for joining in today. I do have a very special interview intervention lecture next week. It'll be 11 a.m. on Wednesday. Don't have that date in front of my head. I wish I did. Let's remember, small changes change perception. That's part of how you take control, especially with your career branding. Wherever you are today, take your very first step and your next step and understand we're getting a mechanism to start going. Repeat, 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 repeat. Just don't let somebody else think for yourself. If you need help with your career branding, check my Self-Recruiter website under the services tab. Lots there that will help you. Don't hesitate to reach out. If you need to talk before you know which one might be the right one for you, just send me a quick note. We'll set up a time to talk. Thanks so much. Take care.